Welcome back to another episode of the Free and Fully Expressed podcast. Today, I want to talk about this episode is not just about business, but about building a life, a legacy, a movement that doesn't cost you your body, your motherhood, your soul, or yourself. This is for the woman who is healing from burnout, the woman who is ready to expand into her sacred work, who is finally open to receiving the systems that support her, not just output. This is for the woman that never meant to survive her own success. She was meant to thrive. And I don't want to talk about like the surface level stuff. We're going to go deep here and help us kind of see, like, because nobody talks about what happens when the woman who is healing herself actually becomes the woman holding a business at the same time. We don't talk about the weight she carries and the visible burnout that builds up behind the scenes if we're not aware. So we're going to dive into these truths, the truths behind the sacred structure, sustainable growth, and what it really means to move beyond the burnout without abandoning yourself in the process. Because we were not born to just manage exhaustion better. We are born to build a life that feeds you back in a world that worships hustle and celebrates self-sacrifice. We are here to design systems that nourish our own nervous systems, our spirit, and our sovereignty. So burnout is not just about working hard. It's about what happens when you build a life, a business, or a rhythm that your soul was never designed to survive. You're not too sensitive. You're not bad at business. You're not lazy because the old systems broke you down. You are actually sacredly attuned to a deeper knowing that the way that you've been taught to build was not meant for the woman who wants to live, lead, and love freely the way you do. The free and fully expressed woman doesn't create just to keep up. She creates from overflow, from truth, from embodied wholeness. She doesn't just optimize systems for productivity. She designs them for pleasure, peace, and power. So this is what I would like to dive into today. And I am so excited. And this is also why I brought Debbie on today to talk. She is a business integrator and sales funnel strategist because so many of us are stepping into our leadership, launching our sacred work, and we get stuck in the survival mode when it comes to actually bringing it to life. And we don't notice the little things that come up that cause that burnout. We want to bring that to awareness. So this is the permission slip I wish I had earlier in life, because here's where the magic is. I help you reclaim yourself. But in Debbie's world, she helps you reclaim the systems in your business and your life. And so together we are here to rise as embodied, resourced, and fully expressed leaders. So let's dive in. I'm going to turn it over to Debbie here because I'm already talking a lot, and she can share about her story and really start sharing about like her personal turning point of burnout and what cracked open for her. Go ahead, Debbie.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I'm Debbie. I am from Ireland, as you can possibly tell by my accent. So if I talk too fast, please bear with us. Um, I have been a done for you service providing business for the past 5.5 years now. And I will talk about my most recent episode of burnout because that was possibly my biggest. But I have been burnt out on multiple occasions since I started my business. And it's just like Jackie said, you are trying to run a business, be a mother, be a partner, be a friend. Everything falls on you. Especially as women, we have this mental load that we take on because we are so much to everybody and we're trying to do it all. So burnout is, I always say one way ticket to burnout, Phil. That's how we end up living our lives, running our businesses. And 9 times out of 10, we don't even notice it. So if you have a business and you are a service-based business where you're providing a service to others, whether that's B2C or B2B, you have possibly fell into the same trap as I did and as a lot of us do. I call it the service provider trap, where you serve so much. You want to help, you want to be of service, you want to deliver what you promised, and you end up giving your all of your time, all of your energy, all of your mental space, your capacity to serving your clients, whether that be, one client or a full roster of clients. You end up giving your all, being a people pleaser, being your perfectionist self, and trying to get them results whilst neglecting not only your own business, but your own well-being and mental well-being and specifically, because you're giving so much to everybody else. And that is the trap that I found myself falling into numerous times these past 5.5 years. Um, I started as an OBM, an online business manager, for those of you that don't know what that is. And it's essentially like an office manager for somebody else's business, but doing it remotely. So you could be dealing with international teams, different departments. And for me, that role gives you so much responsibility. But then I also bring my perfectionist tendencies to the table, want to be the people pleaser. That's just ingrained in me as a woman, a person with a traumatic past. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. But
And
when you
here.
bring that, it's like you can possibly relate to this then. I know we spoke about this a lot in our mastermind recently, but you equate your self-worth with your output, with the results that you are getting your clients. You and your health, whether you're sleeping or not, doesn't matter, doesn't even come to the forefront of your mind because you're so focused on getting those results for people. And that's what has happened to me. So, as an OBM in numerous roles, every time I did it, I experienced burnout. I have now come to realize that it was because of those different tendencies I was bringing to the table, because I was equating my self worth with my productivity, my focus, my output, and not actually, prioritizing myself, my well being, or my business. I would fall into, that trap of my client has a launch coming up. I have to build their funnel. I have to build their email sequences. I have to create sales pages and design and all these different things. And I might not market my business or even log into Instagram for 6 months. And how is anybody supposed to know?
So you
How
put
will anybody
your stuff
know?
in the back burner. That's like the story of my life. It's like I had these big dreams, but I put them on the back burner because everybody else's needs were more important. Not that their
Yeah,
needs are important, right? But I had to remember and discover in myself and remember that my needs are just as important. And if I don't take care of my needs, how am I going to show up for anybody else? And especially when it
yeah,
came to children, it was like I am modeling, like they don't just take what I say, they take
yeah,
who I be. And if I am sacrificing myself all the time and I'm not honoring me, I'm teaching them that that's okay and that's normal. That's how you're supposed
yeah,
to function. And for me, that was like the big red flag. And so I was trying to do it all. And then I realized like, just because I can do it all doesn't mean I have to. And we're in a team and this is a family like function. Like, you know what I mean? Like I can let myself delegate. I'm good at delegating without micromanaging. But for me, I was so addicted to the performance and to like the
yeah,
productivity and like equated once again my identity to what I could provide for others and the praise that it got. And I had to realize like the external validation will never fill the void of the internal that I needed to be my own worth. I had to be. And that's why Reclaim Your Queen in my business came to
yes.
life because it was my experience.
Yeah, I totally, totally agree. And I love what you said, just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. And that's something I think will be a recurring theme as we have this discussion. Like the word should be deleted from the dictionary. Seriously. It just has so much negativity attached to it in what we do and how we live
It's
our lives and view
expectation.
our lives. It's crazy. But that is it. That external validation, especially the type of business I was running. What happened was I was performing so well for those clients, and getting them amazing results that they told everyone in their circle about me. So I was getting more and more people coming in the door. And my business ran on referrals for the first 4 years, which was great. It was amazing, but it was great until it wasn't. Because what happened for me then is, after COVID, after the influx of all these online businesses, and then, buying behavior started to change and different things in 2022, I found that like within the space of a couple of weeks, I lost those three big retainer clients that I had, which was essentially 80% of my income at that time because I had been doing so well. I had left my corporate job. I was then full time in my business. My business was running on those referrals. And then all of a sudden, those clients were gone. I still had, one or two smaller clients, but that like flux of like the majority of my income was just gone. And because my business had ran on referrals, and like we said, I had totally neglected my own business. I hadn't been showing up for it. I hadn't been selling. I didn't have, a lead pool. I hate that word, but however you want to describe it, I didn't have people to reach out to sell to. I had no email list. I had nothing. And I was like, what? How have I spent the past 4 years working with amazing people that I adore? And I'm so grateful for the chance that I got to work with them. And I learned everything I know about marketing, funnels, lead generation from those roles because I come from a customer service background. I didn't have that marketing knowledge or that systems or tech knowledge. It's all self-taught through these online roles I had. Um, and then I found myself with nothing. But at the same time, I was exhausted. I was putting myself down for having not showed up, the guilt and
Thank
the
you.
shame for not having done all of these things. And then your mindset gremlins show up and it's like, well, now you're left with nothing. Now what do you do? Do you go back to get a job? And I was like, do you know what? I've worked the past, 3.5, 4 years, full-time job during COVID, during very strict lockdowns in Ireland, with a thriving business. I'm good. I have that safety net financially to take a minute, to breathe,
Yeah.
to figure out what it is I actually want to do. What kind of business do I want to build? Is it like that OBM style business I was building? Is it serving other people and building their business, getting them results? Or is it time to focus on me, to figure out what the hell I want, to actually create something that's going to bring me joy? Because I was miserable at the time, not but just exhausted. And I know about absolutely zero boundaries. I wasn't setting any expectations because, a lot of my clients were in the States as well. We have that time zone. So during my nightly scroll on just Instagram and TikTok, it's almost like muscle memory, You go to Facebook, then you go to Instagram, then you go to TikTok, and then you somehow find yourself in Slack. And there may have been a message sent through, oh, just flagging this that we need to put this on the agenda for next week. To me, that's not urgent. It wasn't marked urgent. I should not have seen it at 11:30 p.m. my time. I was just doing my nightly scroll and found myself in Slack for some reason. But then what I would do was I would panic. Oh my God, like if I don't reply and they're going to think I'm bad and I'm not worth the money that they've invested in me. And it, just tying your self-worth to your performance and the output. So I would hop up out of bed. I would grab my laptop. I would, action it really quick. I would be replying. And more often than not, because I work with amazing people, like I've said, they would respond and be like, bitch, isn't it like 1 a.m.? Why aren't you asleep? Oh, I just saw your message come in. And they're like, turn off your laptop. I'm like, okay, sorry. And like, that's where I found myself at like 18 months ago. So there was a lot of deep work. And Jackie and I are kind of opposites in that I'm so logical and masculine. I struggle to like really get into my feminine or to flow at all. And, even to meditate, like my mind is just going like a squirrel brain, 90 mile an hour every day. I find it difficult to switch off.
Just to
But
let you know, my mind does that too, and I had to
still,
reframe.
yes,
Well, and I want to bring it up because I know a lot of people say that, like, oh, I'd love to meditate, but my brain doesn't shut off. My brain is literally like a drama like series. Like I'm not even kidding, like a soap opera a lot of the time. Like all the pieces are
totally.
talking all the time. And when I realize like I get to make meditation the way I want it, and like as a mom of three boys, a husband, a dog, like a busy life, like there's no quiet hardly ever.
Yeah.
Like unless it's in the wee morning, like when everybody's still sleeping, but even then like the commotion still happens and then the mind is spinning. So I realized who says it has to be silent? What if I can just
Mm,
allow the thoughts to come in and have awareness and not just cut them out? Because I think that is the myth in the world right now is like
yeah.
this part of you is bad. No, my philosophy in my work is all of you belongs with you. It all serves a purpose. It's all serving. It's not non-serving. There's some things that are aligned with you and some things are not aligned anymore in this stage you're at, but we're still thankful for it to be there. We're thankful for all the survival patterns. All of those patterns that are limiting us in those moments. We're thankful for them because they got us to where we're at. Now we can alchemize them, not kick them out, not say see you later, because we can try to trap off whatever. It's still a part of you. A part of you is going to be a part of you, whether you put it in a little cage and tuck it away in the corner, it's still a part of you. So for me, it's like bringing all those parts home, listening to the story. Because just like anyone, like we just want to be heard and know we understood. And a lot of the times we can see, oh, I'm looking at this from a completely different angle. There is possibility, but you can't open your mind to that until you're heard and you come to a calm regulated state and you discharge the emotions, right? And so like that's just came through that I really wanted to share is like reframing what people think of like this is the right way to do something because I think that also leads to burnout.
Oh, 1,000%. It's that it's the false expectation
The
that if you
illusion.
meditate, you have to like be out of body experience, looking down in your quiet mind. Like doesn't happen for like 99% of us. Even in my yoga class, like if we do a restorative style class, I'm watching everybody else, KO'd on the mat. Like they're gone. They're asleep. They are just not here anymore. And I'm looking going, well, she's still awake and
Well, and
why
some
is
of
my
us
mind
it's
still
the
racing?
safety too. Like for a long time I would be like that too, but it's realized that I was gripping control and I didn't feel
Mm,
safe enough with myself to be with myself. So I had to learn and build that relationship with myself again to let myself let go and tell the mind, like, thank you, you're so intelligent. But the body can speak too now. Like, let's be a team. Let's not just just once again, just because we can do it doesn't mean we should be doing it.
that's the name we should. Yeah. I love that what you said about like that safety as well. Because when I kind of think about where I, found myself losing those clients and just taking that breather, I didn't feel safe because obviously, I had lost these clients and oh, I don't have that like lead pipeline or whatever. Like, what am I going to do? So I did the work. I put my, masculine aside and decided to actually do the work. And I mean, I've done, buckets full of therapy and like different things in the past. Like I am consistently doing the work, but it's like, how deep do you do it? Are you really doing the work or are you just like
Are you
journaling for the
going
sake of
through the
journaling?
motions? This is what I always say. There's a difference between going through the motions. And I feel like a lot of people get stuck in this self-help spiral. Like, I'm broken. I need to fix. I
Mm,
need to heal. I need to. Healing for me is not that you're broken and you need to be fixed. Healing for me
yes.
is I'm reclaiming more. It's exciting. It's an adventure. I'm finding out new little nuggets about myself and welcoming them back home. Like old little
Yes.
parts of me and like, oh, hey, there's your story. Let me hear your story and come back. Like come back here. Let's find a mutual harmony where all of me can come home. Like that's the reclaiming of myself in that process. It's not about I need to check the things. And so many people will be like, I did the meditation, I did this and did this. I said, okay, so yes, you did the checklist. And I'm just as guilty. Like I used to be a checklist girl.
The
I still am
checklist.
to a part of me like that just fulfills my mind and gives satisfaction that way. But it's like, okay, so now you did journaling. Like, well, let's just use that. Yes, I wrote words on the paper. See, I have paper words on the paper. Check, I did
I
it.
also pulled a card out of a deck.
Yeah, but did you actually lean in and sit and like actually put the mind in the feeling and what was coming up for
Mhm.
you, or were you just in the mind checking the motions in there? That's the difference. Is like let's integrate. Let's actually be and use all of our senses, not just do. We're human beings. Let's be
Mhm.
first, and then the line action comes with that.
I remember I remember saying this on one of our mastermind calls. I think you were on it, and everyone kind of chuckled at me. But it was like my therapist said to me before, like, Debs, we're outside the pig pen here, Me and you are sitting here having a chat about your life, your traumas, your whatever. the pigs are rolling around in the muck, but every time I tell you to get in and roll around with them, you're like, ew, no, I'm not going in there. She was like, like you're so detached from it. So yeah, like that's obviously a lot deeper than this conversation, but it comes back to that safetiness.
Well, and that's what
Um,
it's like I know what that feels like because instantly, even like you guys can't see her face, but instantly as she said that, she's like, "Yuck, I wouldn't want to get in that." Like
it's like,
it
ew,
brings
no.
me back is like, "Ew, no, that did not feel good. Why do I want to go
What do
back
you
there?"
mean?
And like I think that that's also one of those myths when it comes to the healing journey is it's not that you have to relive and re-traumatize. Like that's where
Hmm.
informed and trauma informed like therapy happens is like it's not that you're observing and you're looking from different angles. It's not about being in there, but you do have to feel the heal, but not in the cliche way. Does that make sense?
Mm,
Like you have to
it does,
embody
yeah.
and allow and say, okay, yes, I admit there was sadness under that anger. Like
Yeah,
there was
no, I
this
understand.
story, and instead of shutting the story up and saying, shh, nobody cares about you, like turn the volume up. Like that's the opposite. I'm opposite of most people. I'm like, I want to hear you complain. Bring it out. Let it all out here and don't hold back. Because the more we don't allow space for that, the more we have resistance, and that voice will constantly stay there until we
Yeah.
let her have the floor and give it to me. Give it to me all. Like I know that you have more than that. Like tell me really how you feel. Like this is sessions with me. This is how it is. I still feel it. Like and then we let all of that energy out and it's like we're holding it in this little container and then we're like, "Whew, that feels good, doesn't it?" Cuz now it's out here instead of like just staying in the body. Like we're
Yeah.
holding it outside of ourselves. And then we go, "Okay, so what parts of that is actually us and what are those stories and where do we want to alchemize this and turn it into something else that actually moves us forward? Because we
Yeah.
this is our energy, right? But our energy can't be created or destroyed in that way. It's just transformed. So what do we want to transform it into? We hold the power. We have to remember that. So I'm going to take my power from the situation. And now what do I want to do it? It wants to be a butterfly, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the thing is like it doesn't have to always be heavy. It gets to be playful. Like I feel like everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta go do this daunting process and I'm gonna be bawling for hours." That's not always how
No.
it is. Yes, sometimes it is. Sometimes you have to feel the grief and it's whatever. But there's so much spectrum to it. So there's
Hmm.
moments where we're like bawling our eyes out. There's point we're brawling because we're laughing so hard. Like that's the healing process. There's a whole spectrum. It's not just one-sided, and everybody processes different. Like even when we
Yeah.
do like shamanic breathwork journeys, like you were saying in yoga, how like everybody's out. Not only part of it is safety, but everybody experiences those differently. Like some people
Mm.
are very visual, so they get all these colors. And I hear it like, I wish I could see that. And I said, you can, but you got to allow yourself to drop in. But maybe that's not your strength of how you do it. Maybe you feel, maybe you
I
hear,
feel.
like like and there's people that are envying the things that you are and it's we're capable of them all, but we have to allow ourselves and stop the comparison of the grass is greener and go, "Ooh, pat myself in the back, like that's awesome. This is how I'm processing." And I'm just really excited that the more I allow this to express, the more the other parts can come to play too. And
Love
just
that.
remembering that we all have our own unique journeys and everything is serving us always. You're always getting what you need, even if it doesn't make logical sense. And I'm really good at pulling the puzzle pieces together. So people are like,
Yeah, you are.
"Oh, like there's this like they had this beautiful visual. What does it mean when I had this and then this feels like goes here?" And then I like make this connection and I tune in using my gifts of like what comes to me as I'm channeling and what I'm feeling in the situation and I'm
Mm.
listening to their words and I bring all aspects of them together, you know what I mean? Like what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, I pull all of my senses in and then I reflect back and I always say like I'm not your truth. I'm just a mirror. I'm sitting here and I'm reflecting back and you get to go, "Ooh, I didn't even realize, but yeah, that you're right on the money." Like that hit me in the
Yeah.
gut. I know what it is. And they said, "Good. Now we can dive in and play even more." But it's always at you. Like we can stay in the shallows or we can dive into the
Yeah.
depths. Like,
Do you know
but
what's so funny?
that's your
Like when you say
playbook.
that, is like what I'm going to say to you now is actual proof of that. Because like what you just said is that, it doesn't have to be the same for everybody. Like it gets to be playful. That is exactly what it became for me. So
Yes.
when I actually, took a step back and, like I said, actually did the work and started to reconnect with why am I even doing this? Like, what do I want to build here? Do I want the 20K months or the 100K years, or do I just think I want that because that's what everyone on Instagram tells me I should want? So really actually figuring it out. And for me, it was like, I never wanted to run a business. I always wanted to be a teacher. That was the plan until I fell into my corporate job. And the reason I started my business is because, I had gotten 10 years into this corporate job and, I didn't follow my dreams, like the guilt and the shame and, the not meeting everybody else's expectations of what your life should look like. So I decided I was finally going to go back to college to do that portion of my degree with like the teaching practice and stuff. And I couldn't do that in the type of job I had. So I needed flexibility. I needed freedom. I needed to be able to go to a school for 7, 8 weeks at a time to do that work placement. So I started Googling like part-time jobs or like how to make money online. And I found this online coaching space, for want of a better word. And that's how I fell into this. So, like I said earlier, I'm self-taught. I learned everything about running a business, marketing, lead gen, systems and funnels from experience, from being in this industry, from working with people and being given the space and the trust to figure it out. And I'm very good at that, figuring things out. Once I watch a YouTube tutorial, I now can build you a funnel. Like I'm kind of a quick learner like that. Um, but I realized it was a lot of shoulds. I was building what I thought I should be building. It wasn't fun for me. It didn't feel safe for me. It didn't feel joyful or playful for me. So I was like, okay, what does feel playful for you? And it was leaning into that and figuring out like the playful vibes. And during that time, a couple of the like bigger marketing people had released quizzes as their lead magnets. And I had taken a few and I loved them. But then when I started actually doing this work and connecting with what I wanted and what I wanted my business to feel like and look like and all the things, it was I wanted to be playful. I want to build a business that doesn't burn me out and I want to do it in a playful way. I want to have fun with it. I don't want to dread getting up in the morning. I don't want to, dread answering messages in Slack or
You don't want it to feel
procrastinate
like
on my
work.
work.
You don't want it to feel like work. Like that's the point. I
No,
heard you. Like I've been doing all the work. Like you keep saying that. Like I do this job, I do this work. I even did the inner work. And then you're like,
work
my soul is like, I am done with the work. Like, where's the
done.
play? Like there's supposed to be work and play. Like I don't feel like there's a balance. Like that's what I want to create. I want to create
Yeah,
joy. And like that's what life's about, the fulfillment. Like it's gonna take effort, right? Like running your own business,
yeah.
even when it's playful, takes effort and takes commitment and takes devotion, but it you don't want it to be soul sucking
Hmm.
experience either.
And it's so interesting. Like when I figured that out, it like tapping into like your inner child and like her playfulness and what used to bring me joy. It was like, dancing and different things, but it was my weekly teen magazine subscription. I loved getting my magazine every week. I used to look at the song lyrics and I used to take the quiz. I love the quizzes. Any of the millennials listening to this know what
Oh
I'm
yeah.
talking about because that was just such joy for us. And I was like, hold on a second. Light bulbs went off. It was like a game show that Debbie won. And I was like, I have the skill to build the quizzes that those people have. So
Absolutely.
then I was like, okay, how can I learn how to do
In a
that? And
converting way. So people listening, like this isn't no
uh,
like fluffy
not a
quiz.
BuzzFeed style quiz,
Like,
no.
but I mean, but it has the playful vibe because I've seen Debbie's work. Like it has the
Mhm,
same playful, fun vibe, but it's converting. So it's like
mhm,
I'm giving you value and play, and it's in return. Like it's this beautiful ecosystem. It's just
mhm.
like you can't even describe it. Like I don't even know how to put it into words.
Yeah. But it's like then waking up, you feel excited. I no longer dreaded creating content because I was so excited to tell people everything I learned about quizzes. And hey, did you know that like quizzes convert at over 40%, while your PDF, they say it's like 3 to 5%. Like I was so excited to share the information, share the knowledge. So it wasn't, oh, I have to create an educational style post about quizzes. It was like, hey, bitches, this is like why I think you should create a quiz. And that's how I show up on Instagram if anybody knows me or follows me.
But what I hear,
Um,
Deb, as you're saying that is you put you in it. So as long as you are in the mix and not somebody else telling you and taking somebody else's stuff,
Hmm.
you put, hey, this is something I really enjoyed. This is a part of me.
Love
I'm
it.
throwing it in here and I'm bringing in these other things that may have been at first just something to pay the bills and something that I was good at but didn't necessarily light me up. But I'm taking that and I am alchemizing it and transforming it to align with me to actually do something that actually brings me joy instead of being the daunting checklists.
And like the results were crazy because then the email list I didn't have when I lost those clients, the only way to learn how to do this was to build my own quiz.
Mm-hmm.
Was it perfect? Far from it. Did I put it out there? Yes. And it grew. People took it. I got so much good feedback about how fun it was to take, how engaging it was, because I don't do boring quizzes. Like, I hate when I take a quiz for a business or for anything else and it reads like a market research survey.
Yeah.
You know, where's the gifts? Where's the emojis? Where's your personality? Like, what? This is boring. I'm Xing out of it immediately.
Well, and you
I don't
gotta
build
draw
those
the
type of quizzes,
attention. Like
right?
those quizzes back when we were teen, like it was like, which heartthrob are you gonna marry or whatever? And it wasn't like here's just a bunch of words on the thing. Like, no, they had like love boats and all of those things, like on
Right?
journey and path. Like that's what you're bringing that
Which
flavor.
which Jonas brother is your soulmate? And you get it, and you're like, "Eh, I got Nick. I want Joe. I'm taking it again." And yeah, no, like that was the vibe. So I started building the email list. And then all of a sudden there was people reaching out to me wanting me to speak on their podcast as a quiz expert. And I was like, wait, what? So that year I had a goal to when after my first request, I was like, oh, maybe I could do 5 podcast interviews this year. I done 12. On top of that, people were asking me to speak in their group programs and their masterminds as a quiz expert. And I was like, I literally taught myself how to build these quizzes on, YouTube
Mhm.
4 months ago. And now I'm being interviewed as an expert and tagged in threads. And it made like such a difference.
I think
And
that's the big thing that people don't realize too is like what makes you quote unquote an expert. The shoulds are the expectation we have is I have a laundry list of all these certifications, right? For me,
yeah,
like even in my medical background, like I'm gonna say like a fresh doctor right out of school that knows the textbook or whatever. Would you want that person that's doing this life-saving surgery or somebody that's done 12 million of them already and can do it in their sleep? Not that they
yeah,
both can do it, right? But the
yeah,
confidence level in the certainty and all of that, like there's a difference. And so for me, like that's my work too, is like I live and breathe what I do. Like it was birthed from my personal experience. And that's what I'm
yeah.
hearing once again mirrored back from you is like I learned and figured it out and I learned what didn't work and did work and I learned how to be innovative and problem solve and use those critical thinking skills to find a way instead of just being a cookie cutter. Like I found different paths and I think that that is a skill that not everybody naturally has or is not really
Mm,
taught anymore either. It's like innate and it's something it's a muscle you can use, but you need the right circumstances to put yourself in those positions to practice that muscle.
yeah, definitely. And it it comes back to as well, like being seen as an expert gives you that external validation, which yes, it's not a good thing, but it gives you that kind of push in the right direction that hey, this is working. And then I, started selling some little beta offers. They all sold out. I just put those in some communities I was in and they were like taken up immediately. I started selling higher ticket packages and VIP days and they sold out. And then my DMs were full of people that obviously couldn't afford, to hire someone. And they were like, so when's the course coming? And I was like, what course? They're all like, we know you love to teach. It's all you've ever wanted to do. We want a course. We want to know how to build a quiz. I want to build a quiz. And I was like, you want me to create a course for you to? And they were like, yes, give it to me immediately. So anytime I would tease anything on my Instagram for like 2 months, the DM replies would be, this better be your quiz, like your quiz course. Like, okay, y'all bullied me into this. And I remember being in my friend's house one day and like talking about the future and goals. And I kept saying about this course. And she was like, create a Thrive cart link right now for €97 and put it on your Instagram stories. And I was like, for what? She said, for your quiz course. I said, it doesn't exist. She was like, but if you get people in the door, you will then have to create
Because
it.
that you the people pleaser, like, this is how we take our people pleaser
Like,
and we channel
clearly
it in a
not.
positive way. Is like now people are counting on me. So I gotta show up
But
and I'm
then,
doing it.
but my people pleaser and my perfectionist were like,
Yep.
rubbing heads because what do you mean you want me to sell something that doesn't exist? And they were like, this is a strategy. This is what people do. They pre-sell a course and then they build it. And I'm like, yeah, no, I
That's
can't
what a
do
beta
that.
course
So
is.
it took about 2 hours of her bullying me, and I eventually put it out. And three people bought straight away. I was like, sorry, what? And then I built the course. But like that, people were invested. So my Instagram stories were bringing you behind the scenes. And anyone that was around at the time will remember it was a shit show. My mother was renovating our kitchen downstairs and like they gutted the entire thing and then rebuilt. So, like my dad, there was drills, there was everything. I had to record the entire course twice. So, my perfectionist was being tested daily,
Which is
but it
also
went out
so
and it
healing for
sold.
you along the journey as well to go, hey, we can do it and we can put it out there and it can be messy and we can clean it up later. That's my big thing. Like, take action, make it
Clean it up
messy.
later.
We can clean it up later. But at least we're moving forward because otherwise we are stuck in this
Yeah.
paralyzed, no motion, like shaking state when we're ready to move. Like,
Yeah. And there's still people buying it. There's still people that went through it, that launched a quiz, that are now back to build second quizzes. Like, it's so good and it lights me up so much. And I'm like, that was missing. So that playfulness you said, it doesn't have to be the same for everybody. If it feels like work and you're not a work person, or if you have the corporate trauma, like probably 90% of us do, you don't want it to feel like work. And when you find the thing, whatever that thing is, it no longer feels like work. It's
yeah, it's
fun.
whatever
You
your
want to
medicine
create.
is what I say. Is like because some people could be listening and be like, Debbie, like creating quizzes do not sound like fun to me. But that's your jam. And that's the
That's
beautiful
my
part of
thing.
community. And like that's how we all thrive together because what I love may not be what everybody else's love. Not everybody wants to get in the mucking. Let's dive to the depths deep. Let's bring up these emotions. Let's get uncomfortable. Yay! Like not
Right?
everybody is like that. Like I'm just a weird breed of human. Um, but but you do have something inside there. Like once you start making connections with you and figure out what do I really like? Because a lot of times we
Yeah.
are so worried, like we are so tuned as the high achieving, like recovering people pleaser, codependence, like perfectionist.
Mm.
Like we're so attuned to what everybody else likes and what everybody else needs and all those things. Like, but really that's a reflection of because we desire somebody to know us on that level for ourselves. But to do that, we have to know ourselves. Because like there's a time where I sit
Also,
back, like, what do I like? What is my favorite food? Like some of those questions are like, oh, sure, some of these things. And I remember in my youth going, I don't really know what I like. What do you guys want?
hmm
Because I'm so used to
hmm
like, what do you want for dinner? Like, where should we go? Like, even when my girlfriend's like, well, I'm down for whatever. I'm easygoing. Whatever you guys want, I'll find something. But I'm like, at the end of the day, what do I like? If it all landed on me, that's why I had the decision. Like, I was so indecisive at that point because I'm like, I can't make the decision. I don't know. I don't know what I want. So how can I make this decision?
yeah, I think that's huge. And I also, when I look back at my burnout journeys, when I start to struggle to answer those questions, what's your vision for your business? I don't know. Like, what do you enjoy? What do you mean, what do I enjoy? Like, who are you as a person now? Who do you want to be? I have no idea. When I start to struggle to answer those questions, I know I am within the burnout cycle
Mm.
somewhere because it's too difficult and you can't answer them because you don't know. But it's that disconnect from your mind and your body, isn't it?
Let's
Like you're
actually talk
not in
about that.
tune.
So like Debbie breaks down the burnout into like these five stages. And
Yeah.
she has we'll drop a little surprise later what we're talking about, but let's talk about those like five stages just a little like overview so
Hmm.
people can see that like it isn't just you're burnout or not. It's not duality,
Yeah,
like one or the other. There is a gray buildup that gets you there.
yeah. And also just to note, because I know a lot of, your listeners might not necessarily have businesses, this doesn't like, just apply to business. This can apply to life, motherhood, relationships, whatever it is that's burning you out at the moment. It doesn't have to be a business thing. Um, the first one with anything is like the honeymoon stage, right? It's where everything feels exciting. So maybe you've got a new job, maybe you've taken on a new project, maybe you're in a new relationship, whatever it is. Like you feel giddiness, you feel like the motivation to get things done, to show up, to do the thing, um, and to talk to others about the type of work you're doing or journey that you're embracing, right? So it's the honeymoon stage. And then the next one is like an onset of stress phase. Um, so you might see little signs of stress just creeping into your day to day. Now it's very manageable still at this point, um, but it's a warning sign of kind of what's coming. If you don't notice it or acknowledge it or address it, it could snowball. And a lot of us, because we're not paying attention, we're not present, we're not connected with our bodies, we're not noticing the signs. So it does snowball, of course. And we've all experienced this in some way. Um, the next stage three then is chronic stress phase. Um, During this phase, it's kind of become your baseline, that stress.
Normal.
You're in a constant state of exhaustion, overwhelm, maybe not able to communicate properly with your partner or your team or whoever. You might be avoiding conversations, particularly hard ones, altogether. And at this point, you might kind of pull back and start to isolate. And for me, I always joke, I love to read. And I always say, oh, the state of my mental health by how many books I read a month. Because during the beginning stages of like my business, like when I lost those clients and etc., and when I was really burnt out, really exhausted, really depressed, if I'm being honest, um, I was reading like 40 to 50 books per month. Madness. Like people don't read that in a year. Like, so that to me was a clear sign there's something wrong because you can't go downstairs and communicate with your family or go out for dinner with a friend or go on a night away with a group of friends or whatever if you're in your room reading 40 to 50 books a month. So
You
that's
do it
worrying for
as
anyone
escapism
involved.
almost too, like a coping mechanism of like
100%.
I'm gonna live in this fantasy world because it's better than my current reality and it's uncomfortable here.
Escapism, but in the unhealthiest way possible,
Mhm.
because ask me a question about any of those books I read.
So it was more like a distraction and not actually
I would
absorbing in that.
forget it immediately when I finish it, to the point that recently I seen like a duology, like a two-book series, and I was like, "Ooh, that sounds really great. Let me like download it and read it." And I went into download, and then it was like, "You downloaded this book to your Kindle in 2023." I was like, "Oh, I've already read this." So yeah, that was me, the isolation, the escapism, those unhealthy kind of mechanisms. Um Stage four then is kind of full burnout, if you will. It's it's when you physically, mentally, emotionally are in this like state of depletion.
Mhm.
You've no energy. Um you're constantly exhausted. And maybe those like little escapism tendencies have started to become more serious. Like maybe, your glass of wine in the evening has turned into a bottle 5 nights a week now. You're really struggling to cope essentially. You're really isolated, and it's where physical symptoms start to show. And this is what I kind of mentioned to Jackie earlier when she said, is there anything specific you want to talk about? Like the mind body connection, yes, but specifically how burnout shows up in you physically, how it manifests physically, and how we ignore it so often. Because that's when it starts to happen. And then before you realize it, you're in stage five, which is what they call like the habitual burnout phase. And that's where not just stress, because stress is manageable,
Mhm.
burnout is not.
Yeah.
Burnout is
A whole identity.
ingrained, right? It's ingrained in your daily routine now, and it shows up in every area of your life, your relationships, your work, um, your sleep, your mental kind of capacity to hold a conversation, or your mental health in general. And again, the physical manifestations get worse and worse and worse. So that's kind of just a brief overview of those 5 stages. And the most important thing is to pay attention to the signs, and be present as much as you can. Because then you are aware that, oh, hold on, I haven't slept before 3 a.m. 4 nights this week. That's not normal. Like, why? What's happening in my life or in my relationship or with my
Slow down and
kids or
figure
in my
out like
business?
the root of it. Yeah.
Right? Like, why? Like, I'm normally fast asleep by 10 p.m. Like, why am I staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m.? And that was something for me as well. Like, I would struggle to fall asleep, and then there would be, you know, frustration that I couldn't fall asleep, and then, shame that I couldn't fall asleep. Why am I not falling asleep? And tossing and turning, and then you get like the energy, just when it's like building and building and building inside your body. I'm sure you all know how
Right.
that feels. And like you can't sit in, a certain spot, and before you know it, it's 5 a.m. and the birds are chirping and the lights are coming up, and or the sun's coming up, and you're like, well, I might as well just get up and start my day now. There's no point sleeping now. It's 5 a.m. I got in such a bad cycle of that. And, then you'd be going to bed worrying, oh, is it going to happen again? So, of course, what's going to happen? The exact same
And
thing
the
is going to happen again,
resentment too, that why do I have to be like this?
right? Like, why can't I just sleep for 4 hours even? I'm not asking for a full 8. Like, just let me close my damn eyes. Because then you're approaching, again, work, and you resent it. And you're like, if I had had a good night's sleep, I would have been more focused and I would be able to show up better. And maybe I'd be able to straighten my hair so I could turn on the camera and create some reels. I don't care. I show up with like a bird's nest on my head every time on my Instagram story. So that's not a worry of mine, but I know it is for a lot of people. And yeah, it's just that resentment then that, oh, I can't even focus properly today because I didn't sleep last night. Oh, well, guess what? You're rising yourself so much now, you're not going to sleep tonight either. So yeah, paying attention to those things, because burnout can manifest in so many different ways that you don't even notice. So like, yes, suddenly becoming an insomniac is obviously a huge red flag that a lot of us ignore. But even lack of motivation, if you have a new project or a new friendship and you're invited out for lunch one day, like if you have no desire to like get up and go, or not even desire, like energy or capacity, be it mental or physically, to get up and leave the house and do those things. Like, that's something that you should
Like, oh,
pay
I love
attention
this
to.
friendship. I want to spend time, but I don't at the same
I
time.
can't,
Like duality, like, but I have to effort then. And I have
right?
nothing else. Like my tank has been on empty for so long. I don't even know how where the gas tank like the to put
Yeah.
gas in it anymore is.
And it's like what you said in the beginning, where it's not laziness. It can be viewed as laziness. Like, I'm not lazy. I wish I could get up and have a shower and go out and walk around the block with you for 30 minutes and have a chat, but I physically and mentally cannot get up to do that right now.
Capacity is not there
Don't
anymore.
ask me why. And then you're like, oh, maybe I am just lazy. Or maybe if I just done this, or maybe if I just done that. And it's
And
like,
you
no,
bypass and gaslight yourself and cause
right?
the spiral to go down even lower. What was the
Oh,
turning
so
point? So
bad.
like I can hear like the listeners right now is like, okay, Debbie, like I hear you. That's me. Like,
It's me.
what do I do? What's next? How do I get out of this? Because I feel so hopeless and helpless at this point. Like I'm hitting that rock bottom. Now what?
Mm. For me personally, last year was my like burnout epidemic, I call it. And I had kind of went backwards in my business. So I had been doing the quizzes and everything was great. But as you can imagine, like quizzes are a project thing. It wasn't bringing in like consistent income, retainer style income. So I decided to take a role with a friend of mine in her agency in that kind of operations, project management slash tech style. Um, you can tell by, my description of the role what's to come here. There was no clear like description roles. It was just all
No
hands on deck
boundaries.
type thing. Um, and that's, on me, on her, we both acknowledge she was very much in the growth stage, and being my friend, being my client, I was like, let's go, what needs to get done. Um, but like that, we were trying to navigate so many amazing client launches and, setting up systems and trying to navigate client launches without the systems. And yeah, the systems are so important, people, whether it be for your business or your life, your personally. I just swear by systems. They make everything so much easier. Because trying to navigate these big obstacles and different things without them is what causes burnout and catastrophe in some
That's the
cases.
preventative.
Um,
Like that's what I want to go into next. So if they're here, like how do we kind of get them slowly out? And then let's go into the
mm,
prevention so we can get those signs noticed early in the systems in your life, in your
so
business that actually serve. Like so
right.
that serves you, your soul, right? Like that's the whole point is so you don't have to go into the burnout.
Mm. So for me, I started having minor health issues. So I would wake up with, a throat infection, or I had surgery on my ear like 2 years ago. I would have this really bad ear infection. I had a really bad flare up of like a condition that I have, and it caused cellulitis. So these things were happening, week after week after week. It was constant. And I was constantly up to urgent care. Like they were sick of the sight of me at this stage. And it was always anything else going on, like anything happening, at home or at work. And I was like, no, everything's fine. It's you run a
It's
business. You're
fine.
supposed to be stressed when you run a business.
I love when we hear the word I'm
Yeah,
fine. That should be like, no.
fine, fine.
I made an acronym. I was talking to my husband about what fine actually says. Um, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's pretty much like I am fucking irritated and not expressing or something like that. That's what fine means. So anytime somebody says
Absolutely.
fine, I giggle to myself because that's what I hear.
Absolutely. Yes. But the big red flag moment for me was when I woke up one morning and I had like chronic pains in my chest. I thought I was having a heart attack. And I am melodramatic at the best of times. I'm a bit of a hypochondriac, at least my parents say. So I went to the doctors with like these chest pains. She's like, "What are you doing here? Like, go to the emergency department. Like, I can't do anything for you." So I went to the emergency department. They were extremely busy. So healthcare system in Ireland, I was there for 11 and a half hours. That's a lot of time to think. When you are 37 years old at the time, um, healthy, you know, whatever, and you think you're having a heart attack. My ECG was normal, my bloods were normal, my scans were normal. Essentially, the big ringer was that I was stressed. That was my diagnosis. You're stressed. Here's some like anti-reflux meds to go home. I was like, I'm having a heart attack, and you're giving me like anti-reflux style tablets to take. They're like, you're not having a heart attack. You're extremely stressed.
You're having a panic
You need,
attack instead that can feel like heart.
hmm, yeah. You need to essentially review your lifestyle choices and fix it. So I did. I came home. I had a long, hard think over that weekend, and then I told my client I was leaving.
And
I
so I
chose me
hear
for
is
the first time in my life. Like,
you chose you. That's what I heard.
I did.
It's not that
I
there's
did.
anything wrong, but I choose me. I choose
Yeah.
me too. I choose you and me. And right now, this is not serving either. So I'm choosing me. And that's what I hear. Like when we hit that point and we are starting to feel that, like we need to start slow down, stop outsourcing, and come in and say, okay,
Mm,
baby steps. How can I choose me in this moment? And that's where the systems come in. And when you have them already set up to start with, then you can lean on them in those moments. Like, and when we're saying systems, like, yes, business systems, absolutely, but life systems too. And that's what Debbie and I
yes.
were talking about. So yes, she does the business systems and helps. that part, but we also have life ones. Like we were talking about, like for me,
Hmm.
it's like that, like how I teach is like that nervous system nourishment type system. Like what does that
Yes.
look for you? So how do you do your when you are just starting to get emotionally dysregulated or your energy is shifting? Like can you have that awareness? And what do you do when you first see the signs instead of bypassing them and pushing through? Let's address it. Like how am I being self-devoted, a system to be self-devoted to me so then I have the output to give out. Those type of things. Like I'm just giving you ideas of different systems that you can
Hmm.
play with. And Debbie, you can chime in on different ones too in that. So it's not just business. Like yes, Debbie can speak into the business side too for those who have business as well. But it's they're just as important. We were talking earlier, like you can't really have one with the other. If you're running a business, you need to have those personal systems in place, those life systems to help support you to have space for the business.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, even a support system. So even after I left that role, I again left myself with no income. Now, because I had lived off of that saved income I was referenced earlier, like there was kind of no income. There was no savings. There was a little bit left, but it was go time. Um, but I still, again, in choosing me, I joined the mastermind that I met Jackie in. I started to work with Taylor because I knew, like I said, I'm so logical, so masculine, and I knew I needed to focus on my nervous system. I knew I needed to find ways to regulate that, and I had no idea where to start with that. Now, was it an expensive investment to make to figure that out? Sure, but it's worth it because now I know, and I have kind of accumulated all these different systems and tools and different things to help me along the way. And for me, like one of the things was figuring out what does energize you or what like drains your energy.
Yes.
And kind of focusing your day, your schedule, your tasks, whatever it is around that. So those things that do drain your energy, can you get rid of them completely? Maybe it's a toxic friend that does nothing but trauma dump on you every time you have a conversation. Like she needs to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like just
Or a
snip,
serious
snip,
like
step,
boundary
step.
reevaluation pieces in there. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So like things like that, finding people that do build you up, do support you, that you can lean on. Like, so support system, your nervous system, like regulation. One thing that we were kind of taught in our mastermind is not so much batching, because that's again very kind of masculine strategy, logical, but finding like rhythms for your week, rhythms between your personal life and your business. Because again, like I said earlier, I want you to build a business, if that's, your arena, to build one that doesn't burn you out. I want you to have a relationship that doesn't burn you out, or a friendship that doesn't burn you out. And how can you do that while still supporting you,
Yeah.
your well-being, your goals, like whatever it is that you need to prioritize for yourself. So that's something we were taught in our mastermind, and that's something I really, really lean kind of heavily on. So like that, Mondays are my days to work on my business, be it write emails or create like content, whatever that may be. Tuesdays and Thursdays are like my client days. So I'm working on client stuff and taking client calls. Wednesdays are my days. Like I do my yoga on Wednesday evenings. I try not to be online as much, but there's no
But
boundaries
it's
really
for
with
your,
Instagram
yeah,
for me.
it's for
We're
you
working on
though,
it.
on there. You're not
It's
on
not a
everybody
business
else.
thing.
It's
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. So like stuff like that. I personally don't have kids, but like that, if I did have the boys that had to go to the baseball match, what days of the week are their baseball matches on? Because you're not going to be taking client calls that afternoon. You need to be getting this shit in the car and going and
Mm.
getting the boys, and
Creating the
you're
business
busy.
around the life. What is my priorities? And like for me,
Yes.
family is number one always when it comes to,
Obviously,
well,
yeah.
me, obviously it has to be me number one. I have to take care of mine so I can show up for my family. But yes, that is one of my
Hmm.
top priorities. So why would I schedule a busy, busy day on days that I know that I'm showing up for them? Because then I'm
Right.
setting myself up for failure.
And even for me, like I was forcing myself to do meditation. Like it didn't really work for me.
Mhm.
What did work for me was breath work.
Yeah. And that's the
because I
beautiful thing.
found that,
Like that's my jam is like, okay, so good. You don't like meditation the way you did it. Like the way you're shown. There's different forms. And guess what? If you don't like meditation at all, there is so many different modalities that I have access to. Like, let's find and let's play. But I need you to tell me like what your experience is and not sugarcoat it and be like, yeah, I'm
right?
forcing myself. And it also doesn't have to take 12 hours. You don't have to be sitting in meditation for 12 hours.
That was my thing with journaling because, I would start to journal and it would more be like scripting, right? I wasn't working off prompts. And even if I did work off a prompt, I was 8 pages in and my hand was sore and I'd lost 90 minutes of my morning. So this year, instead of asking for my, annual planner for Christmas, I asked for the 5 minute journal. I
Mhm.
was like, what are you grateful for? What's your plans for the day? How are you feeling? Whatever it is. I was like, I'm going to do that.
Mhm.
And it's so easy.
Yeah.
So like you
Well,
wake up in the morning, you like fill out your little 5 minute thing and you go on about your day. And you've
absolutely.
done
And
it. You
there's
you
times
you
and places
practice.
for the longer ones, but it doesn't have to be all the time. Like that's the thing. Like
Mm,
that's also an expectation and illusion that we put. You can have just as deep of transformation in 15 minutes than you can 2 hours. And sometimes our system, our capacity, our nervous system doesn't have the capacity to hold 2 hours of
mm,
breath work.
mm-mm.
Like it's kind of like a rebound effect, right? So it's like
Yeah.
building up the capacity and is my goal really to meditate for 5 hours? Like I'm not like a monk or whatever. Like you know what I mean? Like in my life, is that actually relevant? Coming back to my why. Why am I doing it in the first place? Because if I'm doing something just because somebody told me, that's a huge red flag. Like
Yeah.
I need to be invested. I need to say the why. And that's why for me, I never say do something just because I tell you to do it. I explain the
Mm,
benefits and does this align like what comes up for you? If there's resistance, let I want to hear it. I want to see what's coming on. Let's not just pretend it's not there and see, hey, is this something we want to try? Or maybe we need to look at something else. Or is it just we need to address the resistance of this didn't work in the past, so I'm holding that and now I'm looking for evidence
mm,
of why it's not going to work. But if we
yeah.
don't address
It,
that
it's
and
all
have those
why.
conversations, then we won't know.
You need to ask why for everything I have learned because why was I meditating? Because I'm supposed to. That's what they all do. All the big entrepreneurs and motivational speakers tell you to meditate. Well, it doesn't work for me. Even reading a book, I'm not one of those people that can see. I read it out loud, so I don't think I have that like visual piece in my brain, or maybe I do.
You do, but
I,
it's
I,
just not that's not like the, so we have many different senses, right? But that's not probably your dominant
that's
one.
not for me.
Like you have a
Mm,
different
yeah,
dominant one that comes up and it's just as beautiful. But we only hear mostly about the visual, right?
yeah.
That's the
So
difference.
that was like, why are you doing it? Because I kind of feel like I have to. Everybody else does it. Okay. Well, what does Debbie need?
Hmm.
Well, Debbie actually feels pretty disconnected from her body, as an SA survivor. That's pretty normal, we've come to realize, but like I need to work on reconnecting with my body. I don't breathe properly, like most of us don't. So breath work was it for me. And it's not an hour-long breath work session. It's like it's a 5 minute thing, you
Hmm.
know?
I
Um,
love breath work. That's one of
even
my core things.
right, you like preach to the choir here, but like even if you're task switching, which again, that's another system you shouldn't do. I don't believe in like context switching because then that takes away your focus. I feel like you should be focused on one thing. So if you are writing
The
emails
one
today,
thing
okay,
really
write it
well. And you can set times. Like if you have a bunch of things to do, then set that 15 minutes, but devote it to that. Don't be trying
that
to
one
cook
thing.
50 million pots at the one time and wondering why they're all boiling over. Like
Yeah.
we're human beings.
There's
We're not meant to be stretched that thin.
there's one particular breath work I do on YouTube. It's really quick and really fast. I'll send it to you. You probably know the guy. He's brilliant. But like that, if I give 20 minutes, half an hour to write, that email or
Mhm.
2 emails or whatever it is. And then I know I need to move on to, I need to create a sales page or whatever it is. Like, I need to like decompress from
Transition.
doing that to
Yeah.
doing that. Like, they're two completely different sides of your brain, like designing and writing. So I do that YouTube breathwork really quick. And it's like,
Yeah.
and then
And
he
so
slows down
you're
and
so
then you're going
yeah,
again.
you're really resetting. It's like a whole nervous system reset for you
A
to switch. It's a
whole,
transition. Like
yeah.
I in my past, I worked with autistic kids, and we had
I
like
love that.
this red, like, so we had green is go. We never, like, transition is challenging. And so we'd have green, like when we knew we were going to switch to another activity, we'd have a green
Mm,
stoplight and okay, go, keep going, whatever. Like, so we know that there's 5 minutes like to transition. So we hold the green up and then we know that we're good. Then there's a yellow. And then okay, so like so and then finally the red we transition. So what I hear you going is like, okay, I'm devoted all into this. This is my bucket that I'm pouring my energy to. And then the
mm,
yellow is okay, we're switching, but we're not going to just jump to that. Like my breath work is going to
yeah.
reset or whatever your anchor point is to that feels good in that. And so even though breath work may be your thing, the what I teach is tune into your body. Like, what do I need right now? What do I need mentally, emotionally, physically, energetically, spiritually? Is there something that I can do in like 5 minute practice, like something small? Like I don't have to then now set 5 hours aside to do all these things. Like, nope, I need just a quick reset of my system to re-regulate down to my baseline where I'm regulated so then I can step into the next part. And being regulated doesn't mean, I always use this analogy. If you look at a heartbeat, it is not flatlined. If you're flatlined, you're dead, right? We're not meant to be regulated 24/7. We're meant to have ups and downs. That's actually called living, breathing, experiencing life. But where is your baseline? If your baseline's super high or super
Mm,
low, that's what we're talking about when we talk about regulate. Like noticing the signs and bringing you back and then trying to find that new emotional home, and find that in a more stable, harmonized space. So you're not, it's constantly where you turn to. So when you're in burnout in those spaces, it may be really low, or it might be really high in the to do in the beginning parts, and then eventually it will drop down to that really dislocated or dysregulated low in that. And so
I love
finding
that.
that and going, okay, I have the awareness. This is where I'm knowing, and now how can I slowly start up regulating? So breath work, there's different forms of breath work. So I know that I'm low right now. I'm going to do an up regulating breath work. Give myself 2 minutes up regulating, more of that in and out, like breathing, like more rapid to bring that up. Or maybe I'm really high and I'm due to do, and I need something to slow my body down so I can transition into the next thing. Like that's the beauty of knowing the tools that we have and setting systems in place. Those, what I see is those systems in life and in business, because I have a business too, is like those little check-in points. Like your
Hmm.
system has a check-in point, and then it kind of bridges. And how I look at it is like that is the beautiful sacred masculine, not the dominating masculine, right? That's taking over.
Hmm.
It's that is the structure, the hold, the container. And when we have good sacred masculine structure in there, the feminine can express because feminine will not come out and she will not express her full magic, her full power, her full wisdom if she doesn't feel held and safe to do it.
Yeah. I think that's again, it's an expectation thing, a definition thing of what people see systems as. And even, for the business folks and listening, people will be like, oh, systems, I set up a CRM system for my business. Your CRM isn't your system. Like it's a tech platform, it's a tool
Mhm.
that you use to bring your process together and your steps and your, different
System is
stages
how you
together.
use that tool.
Right? So like your system is your structure, it's your steps, and it's your tools.
Mhm.
So again, you can see from like that definition how you can then put that into like your daily life.
Yes.
Like coming back to, reading and how that was like a big red flag for me and how I used to use it. I now like romanticize my reading. So I only do it in the evenings, unless it's Tuesday and a really like good book that I've been waiting on comes out and new release Tuesday. That's a different story. I sack off work and read all day. Don't judge me. But it's usually
That's your pleasure
my
moment. There's
process.
nothing wrong with
That's my
that.
thing. And even my clients like say to me, "Oh, I hope you enjoy your day today. Like I'll speak tomorrow." Like they know it's a
Yeah.
thing with me. Um, but yeah, it's more like an evening thing. So it's now my reward as opposed to my escapism.
Yeah.
And I don't just like sit there and read on my Kindle. Like I've gone back to buying some, paperback books and my Kindle, but I'll always make myself a nice drink. I always like put the nice ambiance YouTube background
The whole
on. Um,
experience.
it's
It's a
a
sacred
thing
ceremony.
now.
In my world, that's what I would say. It's like
Yes,
it's ceremony. It's not just a to-do check. Like I just read 50 pages.
right. Yeah. And it's also not, oh my God, work was so hard today. Let me get lost in this book and not remember a thing about it.
Mhm.
I'm absorbing the
Yeah.
story. I'm feeling it more. And yeah, it's just little
Full
things like
presence.
that, right? Or
Mhm.
also like finding like a hobby like that, or I recently started coloring to really like infuse, or that's not the word I'm looking for, ignite your creativity.
Yes.
Like I started coloring after Christmas because, I knew it would help with mindfulness and like different things. And switching off completely, no phones, no TV, no Kindle, nothing, just me and my coloring. And I thought
Great
this will be
therapy is
good for my
amazing.
brain, right? And it's funny because all of a sudden we came back after Christmas and I had a couple of launches for my business and I was submitting them into our mastermind to our coach. And she was like, Debbie Murphy, where did this creativity come from? Like, you're on fire. And look at this sales page. Like, I have no notes. Like, this is amazing. And I'm like, huh, imagine that, because I allowed myself to tap into my creativity. And I build that into my schedule and my weekly rhythms. And I have certain nights of the week, especially if I have a heavy or cold day, like no TV that day, I'm coloring because I
And
need
that's your
to
systems. Those are the
decompress.
life systems. And
Right?
that's beautiful. Like she's expressing like what we were talking about here. And in that, and the system is that, like you said, I'm very masculine logical, like earlier in the podcast. Like,
Yeah.
and that's why you're an expert at the systems. Do you see that? Like you have that beautiful feminine, but you also now have like I said, if you come back to your tagline where you were saying like you dream it, I design the strategy and systems to bring it life. So how I see it is the system is not, once again, the tools. You have tools, but you also have the structure, the boundaries, the held pieces, the steps to do
All
it.
of it.
The strategy is that creative feminine that brings it to life, breathes life into it, and you create that harmony, and that's actually what creates
Yeah.
creation.
Yeah. I love it. I somehow have tapped into a creativity that even when I started building quizzes was only like surface level. But now it's like I'm in it. I'm in the pigsty in the creativity, which is great. It's a
You're
lot less
connecting with
dirtier than
you.
the dirty pigsty, but I'm in it.
But you're still in it. You're still making steps forward in that. And that's the thing is like it's not about like doing it perfect. It's doing it
Mhm.
our way and finding what works for us and what feels good to us. And maybe, like I was saying earlier, maybe that's just stepping my feet and playing in the shallow water of the ocean because the big waves scare me
Yeah,
right now. And that's okay. You got to go in your speed, not anybody
totally okay.
else's time lane. In that, you're gonna go, and the waves are still gonna push you. You're still in that. Maybe you get a little braver and you take a couple more steps out, and you're like, "Ooh, now it's up to my waist. Oh no, I'm gonna go back to my knees, but I'm not just my toes now." You know what I mean? It's this ebb
Yeah,
and flow with life, and that's the thing. Like your structure, your your systems are not supposed to be rigid. Like that's an
no.
unhealthy masculine. Like if there's like absolutely no wiggle room, then we need to reevaluate that because it's meant to be held. And it's like a breath, you know what I mean? Like if your rib cage held and didn't move and it was a fixed structure, you wouldn't be able to expand your lungs and actually breathe. And that's what you need to find that harmony of being able to be held but not constricted.
Yeah. I also say a lot for my business folks listening. One of my taglines is that systems that work and convert while you play.
Yes.
That's for me. But also systems that work and convert while you sleep,
Mhm.
while you have a spa day, while you are at the park with your kids or at a baseball game for the boys.
While
Like
you're lifing in
systems that
whatever
work
sport
and
that is.
convert
Yeah.
while you do whatever it is that you do. And make sure that what you are doing is what you actually want to do, not what you think you should do, and is actually aligned with your goal and your vision for your life, not just your business or your relationship or whatever, for you and your life. That's like the long and short of it all, folks.
Yes, I love that. Well, and as we do that, let's transition because I know that this is a beautiful conversation. But let's bring it in. Debbie has a sweet gift for us all, so I wanted to kind of like give a little tidbit of that, and that will be linked in the show notes. And any like last like messages you want to share.
I did. So last year, after I had my burnout, I kind of created a similar podcast to this. It was a private podcast at the time, but I created a Notion. It was the Burnout Recovery Toolkit, and I kind of did it step by step as to how I navigated my burnout journey and the different tools and systems that I have in place to heal from it. And again, healing isn't linear, so every day is different. But like you'll see if you click the link in the show notes and download it, like there's no like you're not subscribing to a system, to a tech platform here. That's not the systems we're talking about. We are talking about the tools and structure that you can put into your day to day to make sure you're prioritizing you and your well-being.
I love.
So yeah, it will be available to you in the show notes. And I would love for you to download it as a little gift for having me on today. And also I'll have Jackie link my Instagram. I hang out on Instagram the most. And I would love to connect with you all if you want to pop in and have any feedback from the episode or questions about burnout or experiences you'd love to share. I'd love to chat with you. So I'll have her link that in the show notes as well.
Even if you want to say hi, because she's an amazing person. Like, just get to know her.
Say hi. Come say hi. I'm trying to build a new quiz too, and I'm thinking about building it in public. So
Mm.
like having maybe a free stock channel or something, so that people can see what goes into it and what how it's done, and ask their own questions and give feedback along the way. Because yeah, I'm craving community and connection and all the things this year. So just trying to find ways to give back to folks.
I love that. And I love you. Thank you so much for
Um,
having this conversation and sharing your wisdom and perspectives, because I know that it is landing on the ears that needed it the most in this moment. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I hope it was helpful to you all. I know I'm a bit of a yapper. It's the Irish gal in me. But I hope this was helpful. And please do come into my DMs and have all the chat.
Yes. I will see you all next week on the next episode. Until then, enjoy your day, and I will talk to you soon.